India's market news headquarters. Cutting edge analysis. Influential insights. Market moving intelligence. Broadcasting live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios in Mumbai.
Good morning. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Bazaar Morning Call. It's a Tuesday morning, getting into the week, the thick of things. Yesterday was disappointing. It was because finally we ended down after many attempts and many recoveries, but many sell-offs as well. Extremely volatile session. We're coming to you from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Prashant. With me, my colleagues Surabhi and Nigel. Guys, hi. Good morning.
Hi guys,
Morning.
Good morning. In Mumbai, we've gotten used to either the rain or the haze in the city. But the last 24 hours have been slightly clear. We've got clear skies, clear sunshine. And I think the bulls will hope for some clarity now on the street and the direction ahead as well. Let's see if they get there or not.
Well, we'll be hoping for some kind of earnings surprises. That hope continues. And we have the big listing today. So let's see whether or not, after all the debate, whether or not it can surprise on the upside. We'll wait by for that.
in the Gen Z lingo, some K-pop today.
Wow, okay. You're really with it, Prashant. I need to catch up.
Anyway, we got not Gen Z. What is it? Gen whatever after Z, right?
Z, whatever. I thought that was the last one. Millennials and Gen Z. Never mind. We'll do our homework and come back on this one.
U.S. markets have taken a bit of a breather. So let's just sort of tell you what you need to know as we begin the session. And we start with the handover from Wall Street, right? Because yesterday, of course, we tracked where we left off. But then after we closed and U.S. traded, a bit of a breather. S&P, the Dow, the Russell 2000. Nasdaq was still higher, largely led by AI, semiconductor stocks, etc. Nvidia, for example, was up 4%. That's a change on the indices. S&P down, Russell down, Nasdaq up a little bit in terms of trade. Now, Nvidia was up 4%. There are big earnings from companies like Tesla, Amazon. Expectation is that they're going to be strong. In any case, TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor, reported blockbuster numbers. And they are, of course, the largest semiconductor company. Nvidia, of course, feeds off that as well. So largely, it was a big tech semi kind of a play last night. Now, you got a big jump in yields as well. And I was saying this yesterday morning that when we came into yesterday, we had the situation where yields were down, dollar was down. But, if you are looking at a Trump presidency and betting polls, etc., are putting him ahead, it is bad for the bond market. It's good for equity markets. Yields went up 11 basis points. We're at about 4.2%. Essentially, it's inflationary. Dollar index went up about 0.5%. Just under 104 odd levels is where we finally left off at. I think on the dollar this morning, there's a bit more downtick. So we'll see. We'll have to track it. But these are very large moves. The yield, by the way, on the 10-year is the highest we've seen since late July. So just to give you some context. Oil prices also moved up about 1.33%. We're back above 74 on Brent oil prices. Just to circle back the levels here, for the Nifty, the fact that we've had a negative close, I don't think there is a big correction, big crash or something that's coming. I don't think we are going to see, at least in the Nifty, a very fast-paced down move. But, you got to defend some of these levels, which is 24,567. This is an important level on the downside. If you are able to defend it, it kind of keeps hopes alive. And of course, once you start to pull back, we'll have to assess on a day-to-day basis whether the pullback is a real turnaround. But first, we need to get a positive daily close after these kind of phases. So on the way up, the closest is the 40-day exponential moving average, which is 25,092. Now, that is about 200 points away from where we left off yesterday, but that is a little more actually. So that's the first level which the market needs to get its head above. Now, for the Nifty Bank, it found resistance exactly at two numbers, 50% retracement of this entire fall. On the way up, on the pullback, the 50% retracement and the 20-day moving average are almost exactly coinciding. The Bank Nifty almost exactly there, went there and then turned down around. Here, on the low of 51,000 needs to be defended. We left off at about 51,960 yesterday. And on the way up, resistances are 52,577. And then you got the 61.8% retracement, which is 52,835. Yesterday's high is 52,577. So that's the first level. The Bank Nifty went there and then pulled back a little bit. So let's see. For the broader market as well, I mean, I think it's looking a little painful now, and portfolios are hurting because mid caps, small caps, I mean, it was a bit of a crunching fall that we had, and it's not as if at the margin earnings are showing any, they were not expected to be good, but then I think a little more subpar as compared to even expectations. Gift Nifty will come up on your screen, giving you an indication. It's a flat kind of a start, 20-odd point higher start. Surabhi.
Oh, absolutely, Prashant. I was also looking at the surge in yields, right? Because it's rather uncanny. The equity market hasn't fallen that much, but the bond market seems to be sensing something. And it took me back to the comment that Ed Yardeni made on this very show yesterday. And I think that's a question that markets are beginning to ask and price in, whether the 50 basis points was, too aggressive too early, whether that was a quote-unquote mistake. If you look at the probability and the odds right now of the November meeting, then earlier there was absolutely, no one expecting a pause. Everybody was in the camp of at least 25 basis points, if not 50 basis points. But now there's a 13% probability, if you go by the FedWatch tool, of a hold in November itself. So I think this new reality with the strong data is what the bond market in the US is pricing in, along with all the commentary that we're getting in from the Fed officials. Nvidia is making all the headlines. Now it's $3.5 trillion in market cap. And, earnings is a very fast-moving train in the US. There's lots of interesting names coming up today. There's GM, there's IBM, Verizon, Tesla, Boeing. So I think big tech and large corporate American earnings report card will continue to drive the global headlines. Let's come back closer home in our neighborhood, Asia, this morning, just to get the hot boards up. Yeah, I'll come to the FII numbers in just a second, but if you look at the Asian picture, it's very mixed today. There's buying in mainland China and Hong Kong. There's a lot of selling in other regional markets like the Nikkei, like even Australia for that matter. So Asia is not, following that one consistent beat. Let's see which way we go. The Gift Nifty obviously is talking about a green start right now. Now let's come to the flows, and good news and some cheer here. We cheer every time that selling figure is not as high as 5,000 odd crores from the FPIs. Yesterday it was a far more modest 2,200 odd crores, and domestic institutions offset it very nicely with a nice buy number of about 3,000 crores. Earnings. That's what it's all about. Just talking about the highlights of the post-market action yesterday. And I've just picked up one or two stocks of sectors which are in focus or trends that are in focus. So Bajaj Housing Finance, obviously no issues over here on asset quality whatsoever. It is a housing finance lender, and the AUM growth was 26%. But if you start looking at, the asset quality issues, if you remember RBL Bank from yesterday, today I'm going to watch out for Union Bank of India in a lot of detail, because at a granular level, that asset quality is flashing red all over the place. Provisions are higher, slippages are up 120%. Let's see how the market reacts to this one. And also another high-profile sector, the capital market segment, 361 declared numbers, and they've missed the mark, at least on a quarter-on-quarter basis. So let's see. Yesterday, remember, a lot of the stockbroking stocks had a lot of selling on them. Let's see what happens today as well. Today's results tally, it's a long one. Hold your breath. Bajaj Finance, ICICI Prudential Life, Aditya Birla Real Estate, the erstwhile Century Textile that's been launching so many projects around us here in Mumbai, Canfin Homes, M&M Financial, IIFL Securities, long list, Varun Beverages, Persistent Systems, and Zomato. On Zomato, beyond earnings, today is that board meeting when they'll discuss the QIP. So let's see what details come out and why they're looking to raise close to $1 billion in terms of equity capital. So that stock is in focus. And then, of course, the big headline at 10 o'clock is going to be Hyundai making its India-listed market debut. Now, you already know this by now, that the expectation is that it's going to be a muted start because of various factors, because it was an OFS. It's only the promoter selling about 17% stake. If you go by the so-called grey market premium, it's not been too much. The issue price was about 1960. People are talking about maybe a 60 to 70% pop. So, give and take around the 2000 mark, 2020 thereabouts. Let's see how it goes. But a lot of the long-term watchers say that this is not a listing pop story. It's more of a long-term play. The retail portion was not fully subscribed, but of course the issue went through thanks to institutional buying. So it's a big moment, at least, for the auto sector with this mega listing today. So definitely all eyes on Hyundai.
Well, that's right. I think if you're talking about the grey market premium, Surabhi, which is now in a premium, last week briefly it went into the red. So at least, that's it's expected to be a flattish to maybe a mildly positive start. But, you have the troika today that's actually against us, because crude oil prices popped up a little bit, went closer to around $75 per barrel mark. You had the dollar index that's moved to about that 104 mark, and the US yields as well did see a pop of close to around 12 basis points out. So the troika, so to call it, well, that's against us today. The bulls, though, they are hoping to defend the lower end of the range, both on the Nifty as well as the Nifty Bank. Until now, they've got lucky. at around the 24,500, 24,600 mark. Risk reward actually has favored the bulls, so they'll be hoping to defend at least the lower end of the range. We'll have the Nifty Financial Services Index that plays out its weekly expiry as well, so that'll be another monitorable that we'll be looking at. How are the FIs and clients positioned? Well, the clients, they continue to build on the long positions. And in the last 1 week, well, they've added close to around 40,000 contracts. So close to around a 20% increase in the total long positioning that they had. While the FIs, well, they were short. They were at around 1.5 lakh contracts on the short side. In the past week or so, they've added close to around 10% to those short positions as well. So both of them at the opposite ends of the spectrum. The clients have been going on adding their long positioning. So that is heartening to see. The levels to track now. You know, the Nifty crucial support comes in at around that 100 DMA, which coincides with the recent lows that you're seeing, 24,500, 24,600. Important mark. Even if you're looking at the options data, well, that'll tell you resistance comes in at around this 25,000 mark, 25,100 mark. So a couple of data points out there. The PCR has come down to around 0.8, 0.81, and we have seen call writing that's come back into play. And because of that, the bears, they are getting very confident that this range is going to be defended. So you'll get confident only once from a bullish perspective, once we get past this 25,100 odd mark. The Nifty Bank, yesterday it showed signs that it wants to run away. It briefly went above the 20 DMA, but unfortunately, it couldn't conquer that on a closing basis. So the 20 DMA becomes a bit of a resistance, while the 50 DMA, which is a couple of 100 points away from current levels, that in fact is an important support for the Nifty Bank. So we'll have to keep an eye out on the 50 DMA and hopefully it doesn't get breached. Well, moving to HDFC Bank, that's the big constituent, right, of the Nifty, and that yesterday performed. It was up 2.5%, but the ADR was up close to around 4.3% out. So let's see whether or not HDFC Bank, after underperforming for the last 18 to 24 months, does it want to take on the mantle and now support the Nifty? That's going to be an important monitorable as well. Besides HDFC Bank, the other two stocks that I'm looking at is Nalco, both as well as Tata Chemicals. Both of them have come out of the F&O ban. Nalco yesterday was outperforming even in a weak market in comparison to its metal peers. That's because of those alumina prices which have scaled up. So keep an eye out on both these two names.
Okay, all right, Nigel, thank you very much for that. So keep an eye out on some of these names. Robert